Hello everyone. I hope you are doing well. Today we have Debosmita with us, who has recently cracked SEBI Grade A exam, a remarkable success. So, congratulations, Debosmita.
Thank you, sir.
And students, today the purpose of this session is that Debasmita is going to share her experience. She is going to share her learnings, whatever she has learned all throughout this journey of SEBI Grade A examination. And this journey is going to be very helpful for you to optimize your strategy in order to crack this exam. So let us begin with the session, the success story of Debasmita. So first of all, Debasmita, please share your background with us, that where you come from and your educational background, also sort of things.
Okay, so I'm Debosmita. I hail from Durgapur. I have completed my schooling and graduation from Durgapur. I've done my graduation in history from Durgapur Government College. And after that, I have done my master's in history as well from University of Calcutta. I completed my master's in 2021, and since 2022, I have been giving several banking exams, primarily regulatory bodies. And this was my first attempt in SEBI.
So Devasmita basically comes from history background, and very soon we are also going to see that how it was challenging for Devasmita to crack this exam, because basically we all know that the usual trend is that we assume that students who crack this SEBI they come from finance background, but that is not the case when it comes to Devasmita. So we are going to see that very soon. But before that, I would like to know that what was your real motivation behind cracking this exam? Was there any strong motivation in order to appear for SEBI examination, or it was just a random decision because you were preparing for other examinations also?
Right. So primarily, it's like it was a culmination of many reasons. First reason is because I have been giving several exams since 2022, and I was well versed with regulatory body exams as well. I have given RBI, NABARD, I've given NABARD interview, NABARD mains I've given thrice. So it was something I said I can give a chance to SEBI this year because I was well prepped. I have completed my DBF as well, and I've done certified BFSI professional certification from NISM. So that syllabus was majorly matching with what SEBI was demanding. So I thought I would give it a chance, but frankly, I didn't have any much expectation because it was my first attempt, and SEBI is very different from other regulatory body exams, SEBI and IFSC, because it doesn't have the typical ESI and like all those descriptive things. It has many technical parts, and you need to cover the technicalities in detail as well with the changed pattern. So that was one of the reasons. Another reason, because I have developed interest in climate finance and sustainable financing. I've been a content writer in these years, and I have been writing content on that. And so I have some interest in that. And SEBI in recent year has been very proactive in that field. So that was also a reason that I chose this body because I might have a good opportunity later on when SEBI widens its scope in climate financing. So it was a culmination of all these reasons that I thought that, okay, I can give SEBI a chance.
Okay, so different reasons were there. So let us now talk about your background, that since you come from history background and non-finance background, but if you talk about SEBI syllabus, it has a lot of finance-based subjects. For example, finance itself, we have costing, we have accounts, also sort of things. So how you were able to manage these subjects, and what was your strategy in order to cover these subjects?
Right. So when the notification came, I think it was in by the end of March or April, I was sure that I will give the exam, but I didn't go through the syllabus per se before that. I did after the notification, and this time there were certain changes in the phase two exam as well. So I made one decision at that time that I will complete my phase two before my phase one because I won't be having much time in between these two phases. So I completed phase two and I subscribed to a course, CA Ramanutla. And because as I said that I have completed my NISM course before, so certain parts like commerce and accountancy, I was well versed with that. I had no issue with that. Finance management, I have already covered in RBI syllabus. I was subscribed to CGB. So RBI, I have notes there. And for costing, then Companies Act is something, these sections were new. Economics was something I well versed because it was my elective subject in my graduation. So coming to costing and Companies Act. Companies Act something if you make notes, it's feasible. The most difficult part for me was costing. So I was subscribed to a course, as I said. So I read the PDFs, I went through the videos, I made my own handwritten notes, not only for costing, but also for all the other sections. But for costing specifically, I made good number of notes so that everything is well retained in my memory. And for numericals, I started practicing numericals after the results of the phase one. Because after giving the phase one, it went well, but I was not expecting anything, as I said earlier. I was not expecting anything from SEBI because I was also giving NABARD at the same time this year. And NABARD and SEBI mains were overlapping. It was just a day gap. So I was giving most of the time to NABARD after my SEBI pre. And after, I think, 1 day before, 1 or 2 days before the result, I thought, okay, I should also provide some time to SEBI. And the results came, and uh, it was a very surprising thing that I cleared the pre. So I thought, okay, I will now give some time, and I used to give 6 hours to SEBI and 6 hours to NABARD. Like this, I divided my day, and I revised my notes that I have made. But before the prelims, I used to watch. I did not take any paid mock test. So what I did was two sources were there for practicing my questions. One is free mock test that I used from various platforms.
You can
Second was
name, you can, sorry to interrupt, you can name those platforms also so that student get a good idea and they can also go and find a whatever suits them. So whatever platform it is, please free to share it.
okay. So I took mock test from Practice Mock, Olive Board. Those were the free mock tests for SEBI.
Mhm.
And I think one was from CA Raman channel as well, one free mock test. And I think one EduTap mock test was there. There was, I think, All India mock test as well for SEBI. And for prelims, as I was mentioning, I have two sources for solving questions. One are these mock tests, and another one was marathon classes from YouTube, which I primarily did from EduTap because EduTap has like different marathon classes for different sections. Like for Companies Act, Santosh sir took, I think, 2, 3 marathon classes before the prelims, even before the mains as well. I will come back to that later. Then Kritika ma'am's economics classes. So what I used to do is when I used to eat lunch or dinner, or I'm just having rest, I just used to listen to the MCQs. Even if I'm not looking on the screen, I'm just listening to the MCQs and I used to solve them in my mind. So that way, marathon classes really helped me, and I used to watch in like 1.5x speed.
Mhm.
And whatever questions I didn't know, I used to note it down. And I look in I think it I maintained a logbook, and I wrote all my questions that I didn't know from those marathon classes of EduTap. And I think before 1 or 2 days before the prelims, I went through all those questions again because I didn't know that. So I went through so that I could remember if it comes. This was my prelims strategy. For QRE, as I said, I've been preparing for 2020 since 2022. I didn't have a separate thing. I just solved the mocks and I was confident. I was already giving PO mocks as well, RBI. Any free mocks I used to give. It was like my daily schedule of giving mocks. And for GA, as I was preparing for RBI, I had two sources. One is CGV and one is Clarity for Sure. Clarity for Sure, they conduct very good classes for RBI, and that actually helped me in the mains as well because I 2, 3 questions came from the circular. I remembered from those classes only. And after this was my prelim strategy. And now coming back to mains. Now mains, I think there was roughly 1 month after the prelims, and I actually started pretty late. I think 1 or 2, 3 days before the results. So roughly I had 3 weeks. I revised all my handwritten notes first. As I said that I divided my day for NABARD and SEBI. So in my SEBI timeline, I used to divide the notes and I used to solve mock test. I had a paid subscription from CGV this time for mock test. And again, uh, EduTap came with the mains marathon classes as well. I remember, I think 2 or 3 days before the mains, Santosh Sir's Companies Act marathon classes, and there was, I think, like a total of 8 hours of marathon class. Like for Santosh sir took one company's act, then Pritika ma'am economics, then Jalad sir management. So I watched it. I was a live member of that for one day, and I watched the entire. I think it was around 6 hour or 8 hour. I don't remember the time, but it was a pretty long marathon, and I attempted that, and I got. I would like to say from the companies act section, there were two questions that directly came in the mains exam from Santosh sir's class itself, from the live class that he took, I think, the long session. And this is how I prepare. I didn't do anything very, I would say, distinctive for SEBI. I was doing whatever I do for all other exams, solving mocks, solving marathon classes, like attempting marathon classes. One thing I did was my source was one or two, but my revision sources were multiple. Like I used free mocks, I used marathon classes, I used free any test series of free notes or PDFs I used to get in Telegram, so that my revision continues. Because you see, the concept is clear to everyone, but what lacks is what makes you an topper from an aspirant is practice, consistency. So if you even if you practice something several times, even if you know that, it should be on the tip of your finger. So you should know it whenever it comes on the question. You shouldn't have any second doubt that this option can be the correct. You should know that this is the correct option. I will mark and I will go to the another question. You should be confident like this. For numericals, because phase two we have numericals in the paper two. Now this time the pattern was changed a bit. The number of questions were increased from 50 to 100. So I had this thing in mind that I knew that the difficulty level will be diluted. So even if numerical comes, it will be basic in nature. So I didn't do any high level numericals. As per my mentor, I solved class 11 and 12 CBSE NCRT books. I solved all the related chapters, the numericals, and I EduTap also took a numerical classes. I think as far as I remember, because I attempted that before the mains. I watched that and all other numerical free classes that I could watch, and this is how I practice numericals. Nothing more, nothing less. This was my whole phase two. For English descriptive, again, as I have already given several mains of AIFI and regulatory bodies exam, so I was well versed in it. I was a content writer. I didn't go for any specific course. I was confident with my English descriptive. Coming back to interview after this, uh, I took
Wait,
five.
wait, wait. Let me just summarize it. Then we will begin with the interview. I have one or two questions in between
Yeah, sure.
before we talk about interview. But just let me summarize it that what Debasmita has talked about up till now. Firstly, she has emphasized a lot on the revision part. You have to revise multiple times as much as you can. The second thing is that she also made her own notes for those subjects which were difficult to her, so that the notes can be revised in an easier manner. The third thing is she practiced a lot of MCQs, and not just paid MCQs. Even if you do not have access to paid MCQs, please do not take it as an excuse, because you can also always go for free MCQs also. She relied a lot on free resources. And last but not the least, she practiced numericals as per the demand of the exam. Fine. So these are the things that Devasmita has shared with us. As far as her preparation for different subjects is concerned, she has shared different sources, also different platforms that she followed, and you can watch the video and you can note down those platforms, and whatever suits you, you can go for it. Fine. So up till now, I hope the story is pretty much clear to all of you. One question that is there in my mind is regarding the current affairs. So did you follow any kind of newspapers for current affairs, and if not newspapers, then what else did you follow?
Okay, for newspaper, I didn't follow newspaper the whole per se until interview. Before that, I was subscribed to a Telegram, I was subscribed to a Telegram channel, We Learn Here. So that channel used to share, important articles every day that used to publish in the newspaper. So I just went through those articles. I didn't read any newspaper until my interview, to be clear.
Okay.
Till for my interview, I read newspaper Business Standard. That's it.
Okay, so she did not rely on newspaper. Now each and every aspirant has his or her own strategy. Few aspirants
But
within the top.
one thing, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
PIB is something that I directly referred, like from the website. I used to make notes.
Okay.
There is a free app that you can use, Joplin. Evernote is a paid app. Joplin is a free app that you can use for making digital notes. So
Hmm.
I referred to PIB websites and I made my PIB notes. Although I solved my MCQs from other platform, but my main notes was from PIB website directly that I
Did you
made.
follow any monthly magazine also?
No,
Any
I did.
compilation? No, no compilation. Right. Fine. So fine. So we are done with the current affairs part also. Next thing is regarding timetables. So you were a full-time aspirant, right? You were not working during the preparation.
I was not formally working. I am a private tutor, and I was also freelancing. So
Okay.
not a formal job. It's very flexible. I had a very flexible time. Yeah.
So what was your daily timetable, your schedule? How many hours you used to study? Though do not emphasize a lot on number of hours because I always tell students that they should focus on finishing their target, the
Efficient.
daily target.
Yes.
But what was the usual, schedule that you used to follow as a part of your timetable?
Okay. So before my prelims, for SEBI per se, because I was preparing for multiple exams at a go, SEBI, RBI, and NABARD to be precise. Now for SEBI, I could only give around 2 or 3 hours before my prelims. But after my prelims and before my mains, I increased those 2 3 hours to 5 or 6 hours for SEBI. And I used to follow the Pomodoro timer so that I have a track of time every day. I have a graph that I know that this week I've completed this much of timing for this particular subject. So I'm a very, I love scheduling. So I schedule my list, everything, my day before I go to sleep. So I used to schedule like from 9 to 10. I will do current affair from then 10:30 to 11:30 like this. And I used to do a 1 hour Pomodoro timer. And I used to keep all my phone, everything notification off. I was anyways not in any social media platform. So it was not a distraction anyways. I used to keep my phone switched off for entire day, some days as well, before my meals. So there was no such distraction, and I used to schedule my time. And actually, you were right. The number of hours doesn't matter. How efficiently you use those hours, it does matter. And if you use this Pomodoro timer, it really helps. Even if you sit for 5 hours or 6 hours, even in the mains, I'm speaking about. Even if you sit for 5 hours, it will be great. It will be sufficient.
Yes, so that's a very, I would say, holistic strategy that you have shared. One very important, two important points that she has highlighted, and I would like to again repeat that so that you don't miss it. So the first thing she said very importantly was regarding that since we get very less time after phase one, so what she had done, she has prepared for phase two in advance. So this is something that is very important because what a lot of aspirants do is that they will wait for their phase two to get cleared, and once they clear the phase 2 and then they have very less number of days to prepare for once they clear the phase 1 and after that they have very less number of days to prepare for phase 2, and this is something that becomes some sort of disadvantage. So it becomes very important that you are able to prepare for phase 2 in advance before phase 1 only, and I would say this is the perfect time for January, February and March. You can
Yes,
wholeheartedly prepare for
right.
phase 2, and 40% of the time I can say you can give for phase 1 also. But once the notification is announced, maybe let us say post March, what you can do, you can shift towards phase 1, and a small proportion of time you can dedicate to phase 2. This is how you can balance your strategy. And second point that she has mentioned very nicely is regarding scheduling of target. This is very important that before you start your next day, before sleeping, so at night only you should know that what you are going to cover tomorrow, because if the targets are pretty much clear to you, then it becomes very easy to make your time very efficient. So these are the two things she has highlighted, and I don't want you to miss this point. So please keep this thing in your mind. Now
Also,
the next thing is, yes, yes,
one thing
please,
I want to add, a very small thing.
please.
For banking aspirants, if you're full-time aspirant, then make QRE like a daily schedule. Don't leave it even if it's like a lean season. Like this time, not many exams are happening, so people tend to leave QRE and later they couldn't catch up. So don't leave the quant reasoning and English section. keep giving mocks, keep giving sectional mocks. So by the time when you reach the exam, you'll be well versed. You don't have to worry about passing the cutoff or anything. Your cutoff.
Yes, yes. Very relevant point, I would say. So please keep these points at the back of your mind while you are doing your preparation. Do not miss them at any cost. The next thing is regarding a question that I had framed, but I think you have already answered it. Is there any big challenge that you faced during your preparation? Or you can say any psychological challenge, if it was any kind of family challenge, whatever type of challenge was there at the that hampered your preparation.
Um, right. First is my family is like the best family in in the world. I mean, they have been the backbone of this journey. They have never ever, said that you cannot do this or just leave it, do any other thing. They have never discouraged me from anything. My ma, baba, and my elder brother. The I would say psychologically, yes, there was a drawback because I was already preparing for almost 3 years
Yes.
and I didn't have a job. And my background was also something that used to give me some doubt because I am from very peculiar background. Like I'm from complete social science background, and I'm here in the banking sector, and also targeting for regulatory bodies. People with very good background, very good finance background, work experience, they usually clear. And I have seen interviews as well, people clearing from. I couldn't relate to them on a personal level. Last year, I saw one interview. A girl cleared, in her first attempt, and she has done her own English honors. She has cleared RBI grade B in her first attempt, and that was something that, okay, there are people like me who are trying, but there are very few people. So I couldn't relate. So psychologically, yes, there were certain times I used to be demotivated, but then it was just an excuse. I didn't have that time as well to get demotivated because there's so many exams lined up. So I just didn't pay any attention, much attention to that. I just kept giving exams, and I know someday my time will come, and here I am. The time has
Yes, I can assure you
finally come.
that you will also become an inspiration for many that students who come from non-finance background, and you are, I would say, you are an ultimate definition of perseverance. You have shown so much of patience and discipline, also sort of things which I want aspirants to learn from you. And then another thing that what would you like to suggest? I mean, just I mean, on the basis of your experience, that uh, is it good? Is it a good decision to spend 2 to 3 years for the preparation of exams? Or maybe after 1 to 2 attempts, an aspirant should go and find a job, and along with that, he should prepare. What is your suggestion regarding that?
Right. One thing aspirants can learn from my mistake is that, see, the regulatory bodies have become very the seats have become less. The competition is increasing every year. So you can just not primarily focus on regulatory bodies. So if you are someone who has just graduated, try for bank level exams like PO and clerk first, because those are easier to crack if you are consistent. Even in 6 months, people have cracked. So if you're good, develop your skills, go and get a job first, and then you can target this regulatory body exams. And if you cannot do that, like if you already have been preparing for 2 3 years, then I highly suggest that go for a job. As I said, I was freelancing one time and I was a private tutor. You can do anything. You can freelance, you can teach. It's just to support your preparation. Do at least something that can support your preparation. This is something you can learn from my mistake. You cannot, keep on just sitting back at your home and give exams for 3 4 years. That's a very bad decision that
It
anyone can
also
take.
gives a lot of, I would say, mental stability, because the thing is that I've also learned it from my mistakes. And as far as my experience with competitive exams is concerned, I've also learned these things that I always suggest aspirants that once you have given at least 2 to 3 attempts, then the thing is that you have already, if you were a dedicated aspirant, you have already covered the syllabus. You don't have to study anything new as far as the syllabus coverage is concerned. So once you have
Correct.
given 2 years, or let's say 3 years, and now you're confident that I am well versed with the syllabus. The only thing that is stopping me from clearing this exam would be, I would say, mostly the external factors or whatever it is. It could be silly
Hmm.
mistakes. Maybe I'm not doing practicing MCQs, also sort of things. So you can join any kind of job. depending on your background, depending on the opportunities you have, and along with that, you can do your preparation. So this is, I would say, a
Right.
very valuable suggestion, because a lot of students, what they do, they tend to prepare for so many years and they waste their youthful age. So
Yes.
the youth years. So this is something that I would like to advise all the students, that they should. This is something that they should definitely keep in mind. But yes, of course, it's all your decision. Because everybody is coming from different circumstances, different backgrounds. So maybe my advice would not be useful for you. So that is also perfectly fine. But I want you to keep this as a factor under consideration. This is something that cannot be neglected. Fine. So I hope it is clear to everyone. Now, the next question is a very, I would say, regarding your hobbies. Do you have any hobbies? And were you able to follow those hobbies during your preparation, or did you compromise them, or totally neglected them? What was the scenario?
I have several hobbies, like I play guitar, I'm a trained Kathak dancer, but those things I couldn't pursue. The only thing that I pursued was, and that's something I love as well. It's like a stress buster, is uh, fitness. I weight lift. I do at home. I have created my own home gym, small. So that's something I was very strict with that routine, because that acted like a stress buster. Because whenever I used to exercise, I used to feel good.
Hmm.
So that was something I did not leave. It was not a hobby per se. It developed from hobby to something that became a part of my life and will continue. So you can actually carry one hobby with you. If it's like stress busting thing, it's not that you shouldn't be like, okay, I'm missing this out. See, I have skipped everything. I've skipped my birthdays. I have skipped my friends' weddings. I've skipped festivals. I skipped going out. But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy. I did enjoy, but I enjoyed only those things that made me stress free. And exercise was something like one of those things. And I did that by staying at home. I didn't go outside. So it's a very, I would say, it's like it's a debatable question that people should enjoy in the preparation life. But enjoyment is something that you can do inside as well, within your home as well, unless it's even if I used to watch films as well sometimes, but that was something I used to give a treat, like after prelims I will watch this film, after I clear this mains, or after I do this mock I will watch this. I didn't watch any web series because again that's an addiction. You have to watch like 10 episodes, 12 episodes, but film you can watch. I used to have my own time alone, so you can actually carry one hobby while you are preparing. It's not that tough.
Yes, it's a good point that you should treat your hobby like a treat. Once you have finished certain targets, or maybe let's say you have decided that I'm going to cover this much of syllabus from Monday to Saturday, and once this is done on Sunday, you can watch something, you can pursue
Hmm.
something, or if your hobby is like something reading books, so that is also
Hmm.
good. Before sleeping, you can read around 10 pages. How much time it takes to read 10 pages? 8 to 10 pages, whatever suits you. So you can pursue
Right.
those type of hobbies. But if your hobby is to play football, and you are going outside playing football 3 to 4 hours, I mean, this is something that you are
That's
going to suffer. So please
hmm.
pursue your hobbies in a wise manner. So your first priority should be the exam. Then after that, if some time is there, time is left, then you can pursue your hobby also, or you can treat it like a treat. Fine. So that is something that Devasmita suggested us. So the next thing is regarding your interview. Yes, finally we can talk about your interview. But first, tell me, how did you prepare for your interview? Then we will talk about what were the type of questions that were asked in your interview. First, tell me, how did you prepare?
Right. So after I gave my mains, I had several other exams as well. So I completed them first. Meanwhile, I have set a draft, like a number of questions, HR based questions that I got from a channel known as Mentor Me 360. There, sir gave me a list of HR based and my profile based questions, and I made answers for them using my digitally. I recorded those answers both verbally, like through recording, as well as writing, so that I can hear what I'm saying and how I am saying. So I did that for around 40 HR questions. I did this thing before my examinations were complete. After my examinations were completed, my interview was on 22nd of November, and I had my last exam on 6th of December. I gave IRDAI as well. So from again, I have a very short time for preparing for interview. this time, what I did again, I first subscribed to mocks. Before that, one thing I like to mention, after I gave my SEBI mains and after I was like having good amount of time between the exams, I made content from the SEBI website, like about SEBI. Okay, what is the organization structure? What does SEBI do? And what are the departments, several departments of SEBI. So I made content digitally of them so that I can use it later in my interview. So after my all the exams were finished, I referred to those content. I made certain questions based on those content, that which department would you like to prefer. So for that, I need to know which departments are there and what do they work for. So I had used those content. Then I started giving mocks. Okay, again, one another thing, I started reading newspaper as well. I think 1 month before my interview, Business Standard. But one thing I want to say that I didn't make any notes from the newspaper unless it's a very important article related to SEBI. Like there was something, some changes in futures and option. That was a very good topic that was going around at that time. So I noted down that news and what were the changes and how will they impact. So whenever for interview, whenever you are going to take note or when you are reading newspaper, do not just note down the information. Make your own question as like what will be the impact on the say retail investors or small investors? Why did SEBI has come up with this thing? What was the need for that? What will be the long term impact? Make two three sub questions on related to to that news. Not only just take down the information to that news. I did that for all the news related to SEBI in that 1 month. Then I was subscribed to several mocks. I was subscribed to 5 mocks. My first mock was with EduTap, and frankly, I was underprepared at that time because I had just given the exam on 6th and the mock was on 7th. So my performance wasn't at par with what I expected. But Piyush Gupta sir, gave a very granular feedback on my profile, and he also taught me certain topics that I didn't knew back then and there in the mock itself at the end. So he gave me a very good feedback with details about my personality, about my technical knowledge, about what I should improve. So EduTap's mock was my first, and then other mocks as well from other platforms like CTV, MedMe 360, then Sierra Mandutra. All these mocks, I took up mocks from them, and they gave me their feedback as per the time. I examined as well. So I gave around 5 mocks, and I was confident. At the end of the 5 mocks, I was confident enough with my knowledge, with my personality development, and with everything in totality. I was confident with the interview, and my interview was on 22nd of November in West Bengal, Kolkata region.
Okay, so two things she has said, I would say that these are very important. The first thing is regarding she was very actively involved while reading the newspapers. That whatever information you are getting from the newspaper, do not just merely read the information. Try to analyze that information. That what could be the way forward, what could be the impact, all such sort of things. This is something that you should definitely follow and is a good strategy to think about a certain topic and to create an opinion about a certain type of topic. So now I would like to know that what were the different type of questions that were asked in your interview.
Right. So the first were like preliminary HR questions, like for the family background and why did I choose SEBI from history and why not UPSC. But the HR-based questions are very less on my day of interview to all other. So I knew that HR won't be my forte. So I was ready with technical questions, and they asked me what I did in these years, and I mentioned about content writing, and they asked me what was your niche. I said that was climate finance and about general finance as well, and then I deliberately mentioned that because I wanted them to question on that thing, that climate finance, and
Mhm.
it luckily was on my favor, and they picked it up. And I think majority the questions were based on ESG, then a sustainable bond framework, and also there was also surprisingly one question from history as well. It was related to changing discourses of history. I was very taken aback because I was not expecting a core history question in SEBI interview, but the board
Sorry,
member,
what was the history question?
it was about changing discourses of history. Like historians, they tend to change what history was. So is it
Okay.
good or right? And is it related only to India, or it's related to internationally as well in other events as well? So I was asked to elaborate on that. It is a very
Okay.
core history questions, and I was really surprised, but I was impressed that the board was really prepared with my profile, and I could answer that. And then, as I've completed my DBF, there were questions on net demand and time liabilities, on CASA deposits, on why certain banks they keep their FD rates lower, the credit, the mismatch, the CRAR mismatch because of the rising preference towards stock market. Then MPC, there were questions on MPC. Then what were other like somewhere I mentioned about mutual funds, and then someone asked me that what are other pooled investments that SEBI regulates, like AIF, REITs, and which I had to name them. Then there were certain follow-up questions. So the interview lasted for around 25 to 26 minutes, and it was very good. I was satisfied after giving the interview. I think there were around 20 to 30 questions that were asked, including the follow-up questions, and I couldn't answer two questions. Apart from that, I could answer all the questions.
Okay, so this is a great learning that you have mentioned that basically somewhere you are the one who was directing your interview because you, as you mentioned, a very good example that you mentioned this term climate finance intentionally, and what they did, they just focused on the term and they asked few questions from you regarding the topic, and that topic you told in the initial part of the interview only that that topic is something which is your strength, which is something that you keep on reading and you have a lot of interest in that topic. So this is something that you all can learn from her, that this is a strategy that you can adopt, that
Also,
your interview will be. Yes, yes, please.
sorry to interrupt. One thing I want to let know aspirants, because it was a doubt for me as well, that whether you can ask for certain extra time or not. I really asked for one question. Like if you like I was asked about a KPI of Swiggy, I could answer one KPI, but I need one. They needed more, so I asked them politely. So can I have few seconds to think on that? And they gave it. So if you're in an interview and if you really want to think on certain answer to structure that, you can ask for a minute, they will give it, but you should be coming with a good answer after that. So that's the insight that
Okay.
I wanted to share. Yeah.
Yes, that's a great advice that you have shared. Now, the next thing is regarding any tip that you would like to give to aspirants for their future preparation. Any beginner who is entering this journey, what is something the core points that you would like to share?
Okay, core points first. If you're a beginner, then target entry level banking exams like PO and clerk. Secure a job and then give a regulatory body and AIFI exams confidently. For veteran, if you're already in this journey for 2 years or 3 years, start looking for any other side jobs in order to support your preparation. And then you can give all the exams. And for people like from my background, from social science, you can give any banking exam, but you have to work a bit harder. You can build on your CV like I did. I completed my DBF. I complete my NISM certification. So this will add to your CV if you reach till interview stage. And yes, you have to work really hard if you are from a very different background, like a pure social science background, but it's not impossible. You can do it. If I'm from history, I have made it to SEBI. If everybody can do it, but you just have to work hard and you should be consistent as well. I think discipline is more important than motivation. uh, every day you won't like to study, but on those days it's very important to sit for studying, because on those days will it will make difference one day.
Yes, every day is not going to be a same day. Someday you will feel that I don't want to study, but ultimately you will have to push yourself. So
Yes.
yes, discipline and patience is something that is highly advised by Debosmita. So now we are done with the questions. And is there something that I have not asked, but you still want to share it? You want to talk about it? You want to give any kind of message to aspirants? Something that I forgot or missed?
One thing I really want to mention that that really bothered me in my journey is luck. I always thought that luck is not favoring me. But right now, when I'm here giving this interview as a topper, as an someone who cleared this exam, I can rightly say that luck is something that you should not stop believing in. But whenever luck finds you, it should find you working hard. That is one thing that is in your hand. Luck might come, but you do not know when it will. So you have to be consistent. So when it does, the luck and hard work both is in your favor, and you will great to go.
Great, great words. And thank you so much for sharing it with the aspirants. I'm very confident that this is going to be very helpful session for the aspirants, because a student coming from a normal history background and appearing for an exam like SEBI, which is totally finance-based exam, and this is I won't say that it is an easy task. It is going to be an inspiration for many of the aspirants, and I urge aspirants to watch the full video and take out few points and try to use those points in order to optimize your strategy. So that is it from my side, and thank you so much, Debasmita, for your valuable time. And
Thank you so
it,
much
is,
for your
it has been
patience
a
as well.
great interaction for
Thank
me,
you, sir.
and it is going to be a great message for all the aspirants also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, and all the best for your new journey. Fine. So, all the best.